Bram Stoker's novel Dracula, about a vampire named Count Dracula who feeds on human blood, hunts his victims and kills them in the dead of night, was released in 1897. Stoker created the character of Count Dracula in the book, which contemporary critics call the most blood-curdling tale of the century. Many people believe the savage monster was inspired in part by Vlad the Impaler, the frightening ruler of Wallachia, part of modern-day Romania, in the mid-1400s. During his murderous reign, Vlad III impaled around 20,000 individuals and killed up to 60,000 others, earning him the moniker the Impaler. He would even dine with his impaled adversaries, dipping his bread in their blood. While stories about the genuine Dracula have undoubtedly been embellished over the years, the true history of Vlad the Impaler is far darker than anything Bram Stoker could have written. The dragon's son is born. Because the historical record of Vlad the Impaler, also known as Vlad III, is often shaky, we only know that he was born between 1428 and 1431 during a period of upheaval in Wallachia. His mother, the queen, was a Moldovan princess, and his father was Vlad II Dracula. The surname translates to dragon, and it was bestowed to Vlad II after he was inducted into the Order of the Dragon, a Christian crusading order. Dracula's land was constantly in upheaval due to its proximity to the warring factions of Christian-ruled Europe and the Muslim-ruled Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans convened a diplomatic council in 1442 and invited Vlad Dracula. He recognized a chance to teach his younger sons the art of diplomacy and brought Vlad III and Radu along with him. Instead, Dracula and his two boys were kidnapped and held hostage by Ottoman diplomats. The kidnappers assured him he'd be released, but he'd have to leave his sons behind. Dracula agreed, believing it was the best option for his family. Fortunately for Vlad III and his brother, while they were hostages, they were taught science, philosophy, and the art of combat. Back home, however, things were even worse. Dracula was deposed by a coup staged by local warlords known as the Boyar. He was murdered in the swamps outside his home in 1447, while his older son was tortured, blinded, and buried alive. Soon after his family's death, Vlad III was set free, and he adopted the moniker Vlad Dracula, which means son of the dragon. When he returned to Wallachia, he became a harsh tyrant, acquiring the moniker Vlad the Impaler in a shocking fashion. The rise to power. In 1448, Vlad went to Wallachia to reclaim the throne from Vladislav II, who had succeeded his father. He was successful, but the deposed Vladislav returned and reclaimed the throne after only a few months. However, Vlad returned with an army and help from Hungary in 1456 and was able to reclaim the throne from Vladislav for the second time. According to legend, Vlad personally murdered his opponent Vladislav on the battlefield, and after he reclaimed his father's throne, his reign of terror began. Some historians believe Vlad III became Vlad Tepes, the original Romanian for Vlad the Impaler, as a result of his family's horrible deaths. According to some versions, Vlad was tortured and beaten when imprisoned by the Ottomans, which is where he may have learned the habit of impaling adversaries. Soon after reclaiming the throne, Vlad had his own adversaries. Some Wallachians thought Vladislav II was a better leader, sparking uprisings in towns across the province. The returning monarch understood the importance of asserting his authority over the people. As a result, he decided to hold a dinner and invite his opponents. It didn't take long for the celebrations to turn bloody. Dissenting guests of Vlad were stabbed to death and their quivering bodies were impaled on spikes. From there, Vlad's violent reputation grew as he defended his reign and decimated his foes with the most heinous tactics possible. The real Dracula's terror reign. Vlad the Impaler was unquestionably a cruel king. Nonetheless, most of Christian Europe rallied behind his valiant, albeit macabre, defense of Wallachia against various incursions by Muslim Ottoman soldiers. Even Pope Pius II praised the military prowess of the notoriously brutal king. A threat to Europe was interpreted as a threat to Christendom, and so to the Pope. Although the actual Dracula provided some stability and safety to a vulnerable region, Vlad III seemed to enjoy his savagery. In 1462, after one of his successful battles against the Ottoman Turks, Vlad wrote to one of his friends, "I have murdered peasants, men and women, old and young, who resided at Oplokitsa and Novoselo, where the Danube falls into the sea. We slaughtered 23,884 Turks. not counting those we burned in their homes or those whose heads were severed by our forces. As a result, Your Highness, you must be aware that I have shattered the peace." The notorious nickname. Impalement was without a doubt Vlad the Impaler's preferred method of murder. During impalement, a wooden or metal pole was poked through the victim's body, beginning in the rectum or vagina and gradually piercing through the body until it came out to the victim's mouth, shoulders, or neck. The pole was sometimes rounded so it could pass through the victim's body without puncturing any internal organs, so prolonging the victim's torment. In these more heinous incidents, it may take hours or even days for the victim to die, often on public display for all to see. In one instance, he impaled Saxon merchants in Kronstadt who had previously joined with the Boyars, his family's assassins. This torturous method was utilized by Vlad the Impaler to punish and murder anyone who displeased or threatened him. He also used it to occasionally punish people who loved our videos but didn't subscribe. Vlad the Impaler's desire for murder frequently outweighed his opponent's bloodlust. When Sultan Mehmed II conquered Wallachia in 1462, he was astounded to see the decomposing bodies of roughly 23,000 of his own warriors lined up on stakes for miles, some say as much as 60, surrounding the capital of Targoviste. How can we despoil a man who is not scared to defend his estates by such measures as these? Mehmed said, concluding that anyone ready to go to such lengths to save his kingdom deserved to keep it. The Ottoman army withdrew the following day. The end of terror. Similar stories abound, and contemporary records stated that Vlad the Impaler killed 80,000 people throughout his reign, impaling over 23,000 of them, although it's difficult to determine for sure how many people he genuinely slaughtered. His violent rule came to an end in 1462 when he was captured by Hungarian soldiers. The Ottomans had initiated an effort to replace Vlad with his gentler brother Radu. In turn, Vlad went to the Hungarians, hoping that they would help him keep the crown. But rather than risking war with the Ottomans, the Hungarians imprisoned Vlad. Almost nothing is known about Vlad's captivity, but he was released in 1476 and married Justina Ziljaki, a relative of Hungarian King Matthias Corvinus, who struck an agreement with Vlad to restore him to the throne if Radu was deposed. Later that year, however, Vlad was killed in battle alongside the Hungarians, who were now at war with the Ottomans. According to folklore, he met the same fate as his old adversary Vladislav II. According to legend, Vlad the Impaler was beheaded in combat and his head was marched back to Constantinople, where it was placed in the hands of his adversary Sultan Mehmed II, to be displayed over the city's gates. His remains were never discovered. Dracula's origins by Bram Stoker. Though Vlad the Impaler's atrocities are definitely terrible, how did the actual Dracula influence Bram Stoker's fictional vampire? The explanation could be found in the savage monarch's exploits. According to tradition, Vlad Dracula relished dipping his bread in the blood of his victims, but the veracity of that story has never been proven. In 1820, a book titled An Account of the Principalities of Wallachia and Moldavia, with various political observations relating to them, written by the British consul to Wallachia William Wilkinson, helped promote the myth of the genuine Dracula throughout Europe. Stoker probably first heard the moniker Dracula from Wilkinson's novel. Thank you for watching today's video, and if you did enjoy it, subscribe and watch this video to learn about the horrors committed by Ivan the Terrible.